Yeah. So I just took it as a sign. I was just like, it's a sign. I've been wanting it for a while. I was like waiting for the right one to come along, but yeah. All right, guys, that was kind of a little weird transition into our discussion, but episode 30, I think. That's crazy. Episode 30 on the 30th. Illuminati is real. Just kidding. It's not. But or is it? Yeah. Today we're talking about like we always do usually on Mondays, some Star Trek Discovery. So with me to do that, as always, Bill. How you doing tonight, Bill? Yeah, this discussion in this podcast will matter. So, um, it's been a crazy couple days. So I got a roommate. Got a Trek Life crew member. I adopted a cat. Um, for you guys don't know me, I'm a cat person. Been wanting one for a while. Was thinking about kitten. Chose to go a different route and get 2-year old. So should be fun experience. I'm sure I'll be posting on social media. Um, yeah, yeah, yep. Yeah. So yeah, thanks. Yeah. Yes, very big. Hmm. Yeah. Yes, I have. I've been still plugging my way through Enterprise with a 3 episode stint. Observer Effect, um, Babel 1, and United, I think. Yeah, so it was definitely those 3 episodes was like it's like just felt at home, I guess. Enterprise. Observer Effect was cool. It's not like a brand new type of theme, but it was just kind of cool um, to see. And then we kind of get into the roots of Enterprise with kind of like just this feud with the aliens and Tellarites and Andorians, and I love the Andorians, so that's just one of my favorite parts about Enterprise, as we'll probably discuss later on. But yeah, just a great run of episodes for sure. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And I think I love that. I don't know if they meant to do this, but like, especially like that last scene when Archer is talking to the aliens. It's like, okay, this feels like early Archer. If you guys remember, at season 1, he was like, first episode, Broken Bow. He was ready to get out there. He didn't want to observe anymore. He didn't want to do anything. He wanted to, get into exploring, and so I felt that was awesome. Yeah, 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 yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yep. Yeah, good to see you, Jordan. Yes. Um, I loved it. It felt classic Trek right from the beginning. From the voiceover with Burnham, I was like, I'm home. Um, it kind of felt Trek, and I kind of got that impression even before I watched it. Especially with the teaser from last week, I'm like, oh, okay, this is reminiscent of past episodes that we have seen before. So I was kind of already putting that mindset right at home. So yeah, what did you think? Hmm. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Yeah, I think you said it. I think it had the perfect balance of really good serialized drama in a television, but it also had that sci-fi theme that wasn't super overbearing. And I love how they're just in these past couple episodes, they're just bouncing around from character to character almost. Like last week was really heavy with Lorca and his character development, but now they're kind of bouncing back to other characters and Lieutenant like Ash Tyler, how he's kind of interacting with the crew, and it's just like a good balance between like you're not focusing so much on the bridge characters but they're just bouncing around from character to character, and it's allowing I feel like all the characters to kind of have kind of a piece of the puzzle and being a part of the story. So
yeah, I totally agree. Now Jordan is saying in the chat that he can't hear me.
Yeah, I just turned you up a little bit more, so hopefully.
Can you hear me now, Jordan? Hopefully you're still here.
Yeah.
Let me know. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm gonna keep talking until he.
Yeah, maybe just reiterate what you were saying.
Now he can.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of going back to what I was saying, just in case that like doesn't translate for everybody. But the thing that the reason I love this episode, in short, is that I think they did a really nice job of balancing the high concept idea and not letting the episode be defined by the high concept idea, and giving it a real beating heart with the characters and developing Burnham and other characters. The rest, it's really, to me, a Burnham and Stamets kind of episode. But
yeah,
like Dan was just saying, the ensemble get a chance to shine. Tyler too, obviously, is a big part of this episode, but there's an emotional component to it that's beyond that really, to me, is what defines the episode. Although the science fiction concept is so cool and different, well, not really different, but it's so dominant, I guess, on first glance, that it's always going to be the episode that people go back, like it's going to be defined in 10 years as the Harry Mudd time loop episode. I'm sure, like that's what people are going to call it, that's what people are going to refer to it as. But I like that it's not just that there's a lot more to it than that, emotionally and character wise. So that's kind of what I was saying. But what about Stamets in this? Did he, Stamets is obviously a character that's really going through some change. Like he's very different than he was from the first time we saw him, because of, I guess, his role as the navigator using the spore drive and all these side effects he's experiencing. Do you like this new iteration of Stamets? This kind of, I don't even know how to describe him. He's apart from the timeline, I guess, and he's got an intuition that is kind of like Guinan in Yesterday's Enterprise. He knows like the timeline's getting screwed with, and he's oblivious to, or he's impervious to the resets and stuff. And clearly we talked about it last week, and he's got some stuff last week that is kind of similar, where he's like hippie Stamets is what people keep calling him.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think he's definitely building off last week. I think he's definitely going through some stuff, and I think this will just kind of unravel and become definitely an issue that they're gonna have to
reckon with.
Yeah, but I definitely liked it. I definitely like no filter Stamets. He's funny in some spots, and then some spots it's like just the way he delivered his lines and stuff was super powerful. And I know that's definitely a challenge, because you want to show instead of just tell. You don't want a bunch of talking heads, but I feel like when he did deliver his lines and his dialogue, it was really super powerful. So I definitely kind of resonated as far as like getting the emotional drama and everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think this did a really good job of showing like multiple layers. He's not just high on mushroom Stamets. Like he's not just no worries, happy about everything. He responds to this crisis in a very heroic way. He's funny, but he's heroic. Like he's in control, and he's kind of 2 steps ahead of Mudd. He's trying to stay ahead of him, and he's doing it. I love that he's piecing it together like piece by piece. He's not he's not trying to solve it every single time. He's trying to get a little bit more information each 30 minutes to get a little bit ahead. I like that. I think that really helped the structure of the episode to not feel too repetitive. He's not like just trying to do the exact same thing each time. Each 30-minute loop is kind of its own thing. He's trying to get a little more information, a little more insight, a little more context to Burnham's relationship with Tyler, so that we're learning more about what she's thinking. Like that's the cool device to put us in Burnham's head to figure out, what's all going on there in her head. And yeah, I like the way that they did that. I like Stamets' role in the whole thing. It's beyond just running around trying to solve the problem. Like he's innovative and insightful and smart and interesting. They did a really nice job with that. And I think Anthony Rapp, for all the reasons you said, is awesome in it. He's delivering all these expositional like speeches about what's happening like over and over again, and not in full. Like they do a nice job of editing it in a way so that you're not hearing the same thing over and over again. But he's selling you on that he's doing this over and over and over again, and he's exhausted. Like at one point he says, "If I have to do this one more time, I'm going to jump out the airlock." Like, it's great. It's really good. I love the layers. I love the different sides that you get of Stamets here. I love that they were able to show the funny side, and then they have like the tender side with the dancing scene, which is at first, when it first started, I was like, I don't know, but by the end of that scene I was like, man, that was incredible. Like really, really good dialogue, really revealing for Burnham's character, makes Stamets even more likable, and he's already, to me, like maybe becoming my most likable, my most liked character on the show. So yeah, Stamets was a total win for me here. I think this was his best outing yet.
Yeah, I think you said it. His character is just slowly unraveling. Like he's not just like this just kooky old engineer, biologist, whatever. He's like slowly developing into something different, and I think that's great for Burnham as a character, because she's just learning so much from like everyone, not just like the captain, where like we've seen in past shows, but like from everybody, her crewmates, roommate, and I think that's cool.
It is.
Yeah.
Agreed. What did you think of Rainn Wilson in this? Like second time around, was he? I know we were both really impressed with him in Choose Your Pain a couple weeks ago. Is he just as good? Is he better? Is he? What'd you think? What did you think of Mud as a whole and Rainn Wilson's stuff in it?
I think he was okay. I think he wasn't over the top, or like this is the best performance he's ever had. But I think I think he did what he had to, and I think I think he works as a character. I think he works in the story, and just his whole storyline definitely checks out for me. With the his relationship status and the rich old dad, and it's just I enjoyed that.
Me too.
So.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, it was I think I talked about it way back when they announced that Rainn Wilson was going to be playing Harry Mudd, that this was like a really unusual choice to bring that character back. So I was really curious to see what they would do, and I think they did a really nice job, because he's kind of a clown in TOS. Like he's troublesome and he's causing problems, but he's kind of a buffoon, and I didn't know how they were going to do that here. And what they did was they upped the ante a little bit. He's got all that to him. That's all there. He is a buffoon. He's over the top, and he's full of hot air. He over says everything. That his whole verbiage and the way he talks, that's all there. Like I can hear Harry Mudd when I close my eyes and listen to him. I buy it that way, but he's a little more dangerous than what he was, and I like that they did that. I like that they didn't try to replicate completely the silly, goofy clown that he was in Mudd's Women and I, Mudd. And I think a lot of that might come from the look that he had in TOS. It's kind of very dated.
Yeah.
Especially in Mudd's Women. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's super
silly.
extravagant.
Yeah, it's over the top and crazy.
Yeah.
And I like that they didn't really play around with that part of the character. They let the over the top and the exaggerated aspects of his character come through in the way he speaks and little things about Rainn Wilson's body language, the way he holds the phaser. I can kind of picture.
Yeah.
I can't even remember if Roger Carmel held a phaser, but I noticed it and I was like, that's kind of. It seems like he did. I think he did in I, Mud when they're like on the planet with the androids. He got a phaser and he was holding it.
Yeah.
I could swear I want to see a screenshot of it, but I'm pretty sure he holds it the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. So that kind of stuff I think really worked, and Rainn Wilson's just really good as a whole. Like he's a great actor. He's got great comedic instincts. He's funny. I loved the montage of him killing Lorca. Like
yeah,
that I laughed a lot at that. There was like this dark comedy to it.
Yeah.
Like when he beams him into space, like
yeah.
it's ridiculous. And he's sitting there eating a sandwich. It's great.
Yeah.
And I love that they went there. And one thing that I should have led off with, kind of going along with this Harry Mudd conversation, is I think the other thing that I'm most happy with this episode for is that it plays with tone in a way that we haven't seen yet. Like this shows that Discovery can be light and fun. It doesn't have to be like super serious and dramatic and tense every week. Like this shows that the cast and the writing team and the show as a whole is capable of taking a breath, taking a step back, and doing something a little more fun. Because all the other shows did that. They all had. I talk a lot about like Trek of the past and Discovery even so far, like playing with genre, playing with horror, playing with romantic comedy, and all the different genres that Star Trek can do. Discovery's kind of already shown that it's trying to do that, and this shows that it also can play with tone, and it doesn't all have to have the same note. And that made me really happy because I don't know about you, but I laughed a lot in this episode. There were quite a few like laugh out loud moments for me at least. It wasn't anything like weren't jokes or anything, but just little things like Lorca's whole body language on the bridge, and when the I can't say the name of it, the space whale like floats by on the second time loop, and he goes, "Oh, for crying out loud!" Like I don't know why, but it made me laugh. Just the way he reacted to it, and I like that they took a step back and had a lighter tone. And not everything was deadly serious the whole time.
Yep, and I'm right there with you. I definitely glad that they showed their ability to become the Swiss Army knife, because past shows have been like the Swiss Army knife, where, like you said, they can do any type of genre, comedy, super heavy drama, very action, sci-fi stuff. So, yeah, it's definitely cool to see, and makes me happy that they are not just staying super dark throughout this whole show. So
yeah, for sure. And like think about it, the last 2 episodes, we've basically gotten no Klingons. Like it's very present. Like the Klingons were in the very end last week, and they've been present, not on screen necessarily, but they're an aspect of the story in the background in both of these past 2 episodes, but they're not an integral part of the plot. In another show, you could kind of tell this story from this week. You could tell this story in Voyager, and the Harry Mudd or whoever the bad guy would be. Harry Mudd's trying to sell the ship to the Klingons, but in Voyager, how many times do you have alien species trying to get Voyager?
Because technology.
So, the Klingons are there, and they're present, and they're finding ways to like work in some development for the ongoing arc of the season, but they're not overcooking it either. Like we're getting some breathing room from it too. It's helping to keep it not feel one note for me. And I love the Klingons. We talk a lot about that. I like what the Klingons are in this show. I know some people struggle with it. Not everybody's over the moon with the Klingons in the show. Yeah. But I'm very happy with them. But I'm also very happy that it's not the same show every week. And these last 2 weeks have been huge for me in that regard.
And it looks like Jordan agrees with you, saying that it's good to change. No Klingons. It helps to look and feel different.
It does. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the party scene? I know there's been a lot of talk about like the music in the party scene. Did it bother you? Would you have done it differently? Are you fine? Like, did it not bother you at all? Just curious.
It didn't bother me. I know it's it may I get why it understands. I get why I understand why people get bothered by it, but the way I kind of just framed it in my head is like, you know, these people are at war right now, and I think they do need like a you know, like a break. They can cut loose, and because they're doing some tough things, and I don't know. This was one of those episodes where, like, I got completely lost in the story and along with the characters, and it's a nice change because I always have my my film critic hat on or my Trek critic hat on, and always looking for things. But it's nice to be able to get lost in the this universe, and I think with things like the party scene, it kind of helps it feel like, okay, these are actually real people on a real ship and stuff. So I appreciate that in the show.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, parties have been a challenge for Star Trek in the past. You know, in like TNG, when you see parties, like they look like workplace, like lunch gatherings. Like they're standing around, you know, it's just very low key. And I get it; it's a challenge, and I understand. I can hear the criticism. Like in the 23rd century, are they really going to be listening to Wycliffe Jean? Probably not. But what else are you going to do? I mean, you're going to spend time and energy writing futuristic sounding party music, or are you just going to play something that's, you know, fun and you know, I don't know. It doesn't bother me. I liked it for all the same reasons you did. I felt like it was true to the story, given what these characters are doing and the environment they're in. And it was a break for me. You know, it was nice to see these characters having fun and relaxed a little bit and in a different kind of setting than just, on duty. You know, I want to see that, or just in the mess hall, like before their shift having breakfast. Like, no, this is them having fun. And they talk about, like in TOS, they talk about like the ship's Christmas party in one episode, and they kind of allude to like Kirk had a random hookup at the Christmas party, and there was like shenanigans going on at the Christmas party. So they've like alluded to things in the past, but you just never see it for production reasons. You have to fill it with extras and spend money making it look like a party. And this is a show that has money to play with and has the ability to, you know, show things that other shows haven't. And I appreciate that. And yeah, it totally worked for me. It didn't bother me. I hear it, like you said, I get it. I hear the criticism, and if that bothers you, that's fine. But like, it's fine with me. It didn't hurt my enjoyment at all. And by the second time loop, I wasn't even thinking about it. It was just like
part of it. It
was part of it. It felt natural, and it felt true to it worked for me, in short. Kind of building off of that, because this is kind of what builds from the party scene. John Jones says the TNG parties are very WASP. Yes, yes, they are. Listening to, you know, people playing the cello and Data playing the viola or whatever, and that, you know, it's Discovery was not going to do that, and rightfully so. You know, maybe they will at some point. I mean, there's a place for an outing like that, but this was a party. This was a cut loose kind of party, not a let's go watch Data and a couple other people play classical music for an evening. Like, this is a different thing. But building off of the party scene, what do you think of the Tyler Burnham romance that they're clearly at this point building and gonna make a driving force of the show?
First love story. Like, the sap in me is like, oh, but I'm like, no, it's just gonna crush our hearts. And so I'm definitely reserved about it. I'm not like just like fully bought in and head over heels, but I'm just curious to see where it goes. But it's like, but that's kind of a testament to where the show is for me now. Like, I care what happens to Burnham now, and I think the show has done very well. Like, I don't want her to get hurt. I don't want it friggin', so it's definitely done its job. But we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of on keeping it at arm's length for right now because of all the theories and yeah. But I'll tell you what, the thing that I kind of take away from it, similarly to last week, I think this just extenuates that feeling that I had last week that it's got to be more complicated. There's no way that this is just a dude. This is just a Klingon guy in surgically altered face who in 3 weeks, learned to completely pass as a human being. Like, no way. It's impossible. And if they do it, then I'm going to call BS because it's not credible unless they have a really good twist to how it's possible. Like, on its face, it can't be. It's got to be more complicated than that. There's no way that Vok or however you say his name is passing as Ash Tyler in this romance with Burnham and not coming across like he's not suspicious. He's completely credible. Like, and I think Shazad Latif, who plays Tyler, is awesome. I think he oozes charisma in both of these last 2 episodes. I think all the scenes with her and the party and their kind of banter and in this episode, and my 2 favorite scenes in the last episode are involving him. It's the scene that I talked about a lot last week in the mess hall. She's talking about her feelings, and also in the shuttle last week when she's talking about, well, after her second attempt to pull Sarek back, and she's like, oh, he's thinking about me and how I failed him, and he's giving his speech about, I've been up close to death, and you don't think about that. Think about who you love and what you could have done differently. Like, that's a great scene, and he's awesome. So, and he's so good, and he's so powerful that there's no way. I just don't believe it. It can't be. And I like that. I hope that that's what they do. I hope there's something more to it. I'm sure there's something funky going on. There's something suspicious to it. But I just don't buy that he's straight up Klingon in disguise. And that makes me happy because I didn't want that. And I especially don't want it now because in 3 episodes, I've grown to like that character so much. I want him to be a real guy, and with a problem to deal with somehow. But I want him to last. I want him to be around because I love the actor and I like the character. And John Jones says the characters play well with each other, and that's kind of the big thing in this episode that I'm kind of dancing around. What this episode did for me was sell this as a crew. The ending. I have some questions about the ending, but what I like about it, before I talk about some of the questions I have, I love that the crew has to come together and operate as a unit and work together to solve the problem in a classic Trek way. It's totally Star Trek that this group of 6 or 7 people has to work together to fix this. It's the first time that we get that, and it's because all these characters are finally like in their place. Burnham's on the bridge, Tyler's on the bridge. They're all. It feels like a unit the way that previous Star Trek crews have been a unit, and that's where it felt. I know I say this. I think I've said it in almost every week. Like, this felt the most Trek. This one felt the most Trek because of that. And I think they nail it at the end after Mudd beams over to his ship with Stella and future father-in-law.
What's your problem with the ending, though?
My
or is it even a problem?
It's I don't know if it's a problem. I don't know. I'm still kind of hazy on, and I have to go back and listen to it again. I watched it twice. I have watched it twice, but the Stella and the father-in-law, I get it. Like, what I gathered today when I rewatched it was he's kind of been shockingly BSing the entire time. Harry Mudd BS's everything.
Yeah.
That he's not really looking to get back to Stella. He's running from Stella because he took the money and ran. And future father-in-law is pissed and is looking for him. There's bounty on his head. Where did I get it? I guess future father-in-law doesn't want to upset daughter by knocking off Harry Mudd because but where did the turn happen where it so easily just turns into, oh, we're just going to take him with us and that's it. I don't know. there's clearly boxed in. They can't send him to prison with the Klingons again because clearly Harry Mudd is around in 10 years, and I'm sure they want to use him again in the future. But at the same time, I kind of loved the charm of that last scene in the transporter room. That felt Star Trek to me. It felt TOS. It felt like early TNG. Like that felt Trek to me when they're in the transporter room talking to Stella, and it's just, I don't know, something about it was charming and old school Star Trek to me. But at the same time, I was like, I don't know, like really they're not going to take him into custody. Like he's got all this technology and causing all this chaos, and I don't know. I had some questions about it, but nothing to. This is a classic Star Trek episode, so don't get me wrong. This is not like a derailing problem. It's just a like I don't know. It's not really a problem. It's a road that they had to go down because of who the character was. And,
yeah. I think it's just what kind of John Jones is alluding to, that it kind of felt out of nowhere. I think for me, it felt out of nowhere because, I mean, just looking at the past episodes, it definitely felt a little out of nowhere because, just because of the ending. But I feel like it does feel similar to, like you said, it has a charm of TOS, and that's what I got out of it. It did feel kind of out of nowhere, but I gotta, kind of change my mindset. It's like, compared to the other episodes, yeah, it does, but there are some roots when you look deep.
Definitely,
roots in Star Trek.
That's what saves it for me. That's what makes it work. That it feels so at home in Star Trek. It reminded me. I don't know how well you would remember this episode because it's very forgettable. It's early TNG, but like it reminded me of the Outrageous Okana from season 2, which is a terrible episode. It's an awful episode, but it ends with like these two. It's a father and son and a father and daughter in like a conference room on the Enterprise, and it's this big like melodramatic, whiny like argument, and it turns into this soap opera stuff. And this kind of reminded me of that in like a good way. Like it's calling back to a terrible episode for me, and it's clearly not. They weren't trying to like, oh, let's capture some outrageous Okana here. That's not a creative choice that they made at all. But it was making me think of past Trek in a kind of cute and refreshing way. So in that sense, it worked for me, and I'm conscious of the fact that sending Harry Mudd to prison is not a real feasible ending here because of where he has to be in 10 years, and where knowing that he's somebody that I'm fairly certain we would see in season 2, that we will see in season 2. So they did what they had to do, and it worked on its own merits. In a vacuum, that scene was cute and worked for me. And what I really liked was at the end of that scene when they're all kind of like taking a deep breath and the ship pulls away and it cuts to a scene of just Burnham and Tyler like meeting in a hallway, and they're playing the classic Star Trek music. And it's kind of like symbolically telegraphing that, like we're here now. Like everything's in place. This is Star Trek. Undeniably, our crew is in place. They're doing their thing. They're solving problems in Star Trek ways. Like that to me, I heard that music and I got chills. I was like, man, this is effing Star Trek. Like undeniably so.
Yeah.
And not just because they're playing the music, but because of what we just saw, like using the old like tried and true Star Trek kind of sci-fi concept, the way they wrapped it up at the end, like everything about it just felt Trek to me.
Yeah.
And that way overcomes any shortcomings or questions that I have about the mechanics of how Harry Mudd gets taken off the ship.
Yeah.
That's not the important thing of the episode. No. The important thing is the character stuff that we got, setting the tone for what's to come. And we have a new commenter. So welcome.
Welcome to Trek Live. Thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely. Excellent character development and interaction. Love the dialogue, but the resolution to the Mudd problem was underwhelming. Yeah, like that's kind of where I am too. But the positives far outweigh the negatives in my book. The other thing I kind of want to say too is I think the decision to tell this story, Star Trek Discovery, through the eyes of Michael Burnham is even better than I think it's getting credit for. And I said this to Jordan earlier because I'm not embargoed from talking to Jordan like I am with you the morning of the episode. I share my thoughts a little bit with him. I love, people talked a lot about like the dark tone of the first couple of episodes on the Discovery, especially. Context is for Kings, The Butcher's Knife. Context is for Kings, especially. In Context is for Kings, the Discovery feels kind of dark and mysterious and cold and unwelcoming and off-putting and scary, just like it does for Burnham. And then by now that she's getting comfortable and making connections with people on the ship and has a job and is putting down her roots, the ship is literally like brighter, more welcoming, more homey. I think it's doing a great job of physically putting us in Burnham's shoes. Like we see the ship the way
we are the audience.
We see the setting.
Audience.
The audience.
Yeah.
Is Burnham. Yeah. I don't think that was crystal clear early on because people didn't want some people didn't want like the dark tone that was there in some of the earlier episodes, but I think it's paying off here. I think we're coming through that darkness and getting settled in the way that she is. I think it's really well done, and I didn't feel that until last night because of the tonal shift of the episode. Because the episode's about that. It's about her stepping out of her comfort zone and putting her roots in and making friends and kind of resetting her life and getting comfortable in this new place that she is in, physically and mentally. She's kind of redefining herself as a person, and it's very meta. Like we're right there with her. It's great.
Yeah.
I think it's really working, and it clicked last night in a way that really made me happy because I'm totally on board with what they're doing. So, yeah. So now that we're like at the halfway point of the series of the season, like, where are you on the show as a whole? I know I think I know the answer because we've done 6 of these and we haven't had much negative to say about any of the episodes.
Yeah.
But is it what you expected? Did it exceed your expectations?
Yeah, it's not what I expected. It exceeded my expectations, and I like it. And I'm definitely, I don't want to like just jump on the bandwagon too much. That's not kind of my style. Definitely gonna stay arm's length away. But yeah, it's definitely been a great show so far, and I think it's a great time to be a Star Trek fan because there's awesome Star Trek on TV, which is a crazy thing. If you would if I were to say that to myself like 2 years ago, I'd have been like, what? It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. It's different than I thought it would be in a lot of ways. It's surprising me in almost every week. It surprises me in some way.
Yeah.
It goes places that I don't expect it to go. I did not expect to get like a time loop, crazy science fiction concept now. I just didn't see it coming. So when they did it, when I saw that that's what they were doing, I was really surprised in a good way. So it's continually surprising me. The quality is, I think the quality is kind of, for me, I know a lot of people have problems with the show, but not a lot of people, but there's a minority, a vocal minority in my opinion. But in my opinion, it's beautifully done. I think it's really, really good. I think the cast is dynamite. I think they're all great. And we're 7 episodes in. Like we've seen nothing really. I mean, This is a show that, barring some sort of unforeseen disaster, is going to be around a while. We're going to get seasons of this, most likely. We've seen a fraction of what the show is going to do. And look at all the other shows and look at the first 7 episodes and look at me in the eyes and tell me with a straight face that they're all really, really good. And I don't think you can really do that with any of the other shows. With this one, you kind of can, at least so far. I mean, and time and age is going to do a lot as far as our opinions go, with episode to episode. But as of right now, I tried to rank episodes a couple days ago. I really tried, and I've given like really preliminary rankings to some people, but I have no confidence in them because I like them all. Like there's not like a weakling there. I think they've all been really good.
And
that surprises me.
And what's cool about like having Trek right now is like, especially the social media side. Like you can see you see pictures of the cast and some of the producers and the people who make it. They're all having watch parties, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's almost like you don't see them as like this god, like Gene Roddenberry or some of the the writers and creators of past shows, but you feel like
Yeah.
it's
Connected to them.
connected, and I don't know, it just almost humanizes them, and it feels more.
It does.
I feel more connected to this show than previous shows, obviously, but I think that's a cool aspect of watching it right now.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had, the cast is very active on social media, and they'll like your tweet if you say something nice and constructive, and you tag them. It's really cool. I've had different people, like stuff that I've said because I've tagged them, and that's totally different than anything we've had before. Speaking as somebody who did watch on first run some of these older shows, pretty much Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. I was there on the ground level watching them as they aired. I'm nothing before that, but this is a totally new thing with those shows. There was never that level of access, never that level of connection, like you said, to the people that are making the show. And that's really refreshing. I'm really liking that.
Yeah.
So we're being asked, where do we rank this episode in the series? I kind of always do ask you that. So I'm glad you asked. Sorry if you already mentioned, just tuned in. We did not ask each other.
Yeah,
that.
We haven't, not yet.
But what do you think? Do you have an opinion yet on like where this slots in?
I think this kind of slots in at like number 3, I think. I think it goes like Lethe, Choose Your Pain, and then this episode. But that's super early. I think it would be fun, especially just later on down the line. Maybe we can just have a whole episode to ranking them, doing some Trek rank style, which would be cool.
Yes. Sign me up.
So definitely, you guys in chat, get ready for that. Hopefully,
during the mid-season break, I think that'd be a great way to go when we have a little distance and maybe you've got to see them a couple more times. Yeah, for me, I think you're probably right on the money there. Maybe 3, maybe 4, but it could go higher. If I'm being honest, I may have had a better time with this one, like as it was airing, than I have with any of the others. I was laughing with it. I was feeling it. I was really into it. I was really excited watching it. I don't know that it has like the weight of Lethe dramatically, character-wise. Like Lethe to me is like serious heft dramatically that I don't think this quite matches. But this is more fun than Lethe is. There's no doubt about that. And I'm a big fan of Context is for Kings too. Choose Your Pain's very good. I think the first 2 are underrated. I've gone back and watched them quite a few times, like in pieces. Like if I'm just kind of like nothing on TV, I'm trying to kill some time, I'll like put on like a piece of the first 2 episodes because they kind of work as like a standalone thing. So they're growing on me in time as I'm getting further away from them. So I really mean it when I say that I like them all a lot. Like there's not a week outing in the run so far, which is really cool. I'm gonna have to redefine how I like pick my favorite show. On when I did Trek ranks the other day last week, because I had been on before. He always asks Jim like what your Star Trek story is, your first time on the show, like how'd you become a fan, all that stuff. And because this was my second time, he asked me instead of that, what's your favorite Star Trek series? And I hate that question.
That's an impossible question. I don't know how to answer that.
It's brutal. And I always kind of default to TOS because I did this whole thing with the rewatch and grading every episode, and I kind of just defer to my stats. And
that's the
easy
way out.
That's the easy way out. It's not necessarily like the true answer, but it's what I say. I tag it to that. I say, hey, my statistics tell me that it's TOS by a hair, with TNG and DS9 like right there, right under it. But I'm not going to be able to do that anymore because this show, I'm not going to give there's not going to be a D or an F most likely to bring these grades down to earth with the other shows. Like, I'm going to have to think more I don't know, because I don't know that this is my favorite. This is not necessarily, especially early on, it's not my favorite Star Trek show or anything yet. It's 7 episodes in. It's brand new. I'm still learning it, learning to love it. But the stats are going to tell me that this is the best one, because there hasn't been a stinker yet. So, at least at this point of it. But yeah. He says it needed more Lorca. Well, that's the thing. Like, this was certainly a lighter Lorca episode, a little bit of a lighter Saru and Tilly episode.
Yeah.
Lorca's been pretty heavy in the last 2. He was really heavy in Choose Your Pain and Leafy.
Yeah, I think he needed a break.
Yeah, this is an episode that I think is focused on some other characters, and I think it looks like, I don't know if you saw, did you watch the preview for next week?
Yes, I did.
Looks like a pretty heavy Saru episode.
Yes.
To me.
Yep.
I've heard some stuff on Twitter from people who know the show pretty well, people who work on the show that love the script, at least for this next episode. It's the one that's written by Kirsten Beyer, who's the Voyager novelist on the writing staff. So
yes.
So yeah,
yes.
Hey, look for some Voyager.
Some Voyager love, finally.
Yep. Guarantee you, there's got to be something. There's going to be some deep, hidden Voyager Easter egg somewhere in this episode.
Oh, I hope there is. That's probably my favorite episode.
It's good. If
Jump right to the top.
If there's a Voyager reference, I have no doubt it's going to be. Yeah. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the trailer looks really cool for the next one. It's got some planet side stuff going on, which kind of realized last night. If you think of it, they haven't been on a planet other than the very first scene of the first episode yet. Like, it's been all ship based. So next week's going to change that.
Yep.
So yeah. What else? Any other thoughts on this particular episode?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot.
I think we did too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just really happy with it. That's really the I think, and I don't want to repeat or anything, but like the sum up for me is definitely the biggest takeaway I would really emphasize with it is the tone. It was really refreshing, fun, light, funny, lots of laughs. It was, I felt like I needed that. I wanted to see the show stretch its legs in that way and do something a little different. It did it successfully. So it's a very encouraging sign.
Yeah. And I just want to leave, or not leave, but just my final thoughts. Also, I'm loving the consistency. Bill and I talked about how in modern television you have to hit the ground sprinting almost. And I think, a lot of people have been saying that Discovery's done that. And I think that's cool. And I hope that they continue to just ride this momentum train, ride the wave to finish out the season. So I'm super excited to see that.
Yeah, you're right. The Next Generation's first episodes after the pilot were The Naked Now, Code of Honor, and The Last Outpost. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
There were some real stinkers.
Yeah, some rocky episodes.
Yes, and you can't do that these days. Like, that's not going to work. And this show is nowhere near that. It's done quite the opposite at the gate.
Yeah.
Yep. So I guess before we wrap it up for good, any Star Trek content out there that you?
Yeah. So I know I could talk a lot about all the Discovery content out there. We thank you for definitely tuning in and talk about Discovery, because we know there's a bunch of content out there on Discovery. So it's cool that you guys drop in. But this week's Warp 5 is super fun. The other Bill and Dan were on there, and they played Stump the Geeks, and it was a super fun episode. I'm loving Warp 5. So definitely, if you guys want to go have some fun, doing some Star Trek trivia, definitely go check out Warp 5. That's good.
Very cool. I've listened to a lot of Discovery content like I do every week, and I've kind of talked about. But I personally, just speaking for us, I can't wait for I can wait for Discovery to be done, but I am actually looking forward to getting a little break from Discovery and getting back to our roots and talking about some of this other stuff. I am, and I kind of made an effort this week to kind of do what you're talking about and listen to some non-Discovery Star Trek content. I got caught up with Primitive Culture. I listened to the first couple episodes of The Briar Patch.
Was that any good?
Yeah, it was good. It was very good. Typically, Trek FM, really top of the line, smart stuff.
Yeah.
Their second episode is about Insurrection, which is not always the most interesting movie to talk about, but they squeezed a lot of interesting stuff out of it. It's a good conversation. It's a welcome addition to Trek FM. One more great show to follow.
Yeah.
And what else did I listen to? I listened to David Mack's interview on Literary Treks about the Discovery novel that's sitting on my nightstand that I haven't really dove into yet. I hope thinking maybe I'll try to like really focus on that and fill the gap in between, the first half of the season and second half of the season. And I think that's what I'm going to read the book. But I listened to his interview. It was really good, really interesting. So.
Yep.
And then, of course, like I said, all the typical really good Discovery conversation that's out there. There's lots of it. And I echo your sentiment. Anybody who stops by and watches us either live or on repeat on YouTube, we appreciate it because there is a lot. We appreciate you carving out some time for us.
Yeah. So you guys don't have any further more questions. Always wrap it up. Thank you guys for stopping in. I had a great time. You guys always, I say this every week, but you guys know the deal. The discussion does not have to stop here. We'll be on Twitter, Facebook, all that jazz. Get hyped for, like Bill said, after we're going to be kind of returning into to our roots, and I'm having some fun about talking about something other than Discovery. So
really looking forward to that.
Yep.
Thank you, John and John, for swinging by, spending time with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you next week on Twitter anytime. See you guys next week.
Yeah, it's up. Thanks for coming, guys.